Hey, what's up, guys? Alex here from technoclass.com. Coming to you again with another KOKAK Reacts. And coming to you again for another Firefly My Balls, Firefly Mobile new smartphone. Yes, this is another smartphone from Firefly My Mobile. And this is called the Intense 5. And it's one of the more affordable phones from Firefly Mobile. Sorry, this is like the fourth time I'm recording this video because I wanted to make it as interesting and not awkward for everybody because I kept saying on the last video. Anyway, Firefly Mobile Intense 5. It's not an Auri series phone. And it's also 3,000 pesos. So it's an affordable phone. However, there are some caveats. 3 caveats that I would like to talk about. But before we get to those 3 caveats, let's look at the marketing video that obviously Firefly Mobile always uses for their smartphones. Of course, one thing that I forgot to do before I did one of those takes when I recorded this was turn on my aircon. Now the aircon is on and I'm perfectly comfortable right now. Let's watch the video. This is Firefly Mobile Intense 5. It'll go up to 1080p soon. God, I hate Facebook video. Facebook video is like, no, we'll show you low quality crap until maybe next year when 1080p comes down. Like, look at this. What? I clicked 1080p. It still hasn't played 1080p. What? What? God, Facebook. I can't do anything. Facebook hates you. Facebook hates us. There we go. Now it's 1080p. Jesus Christ. So, here's the Firefly Mobile Intense 5. Now, look, did you see that part at the top back of the phone? This part. This is stolen from the Huawei P9. Because it looks exactly like the window on the Huawei P9 right here. It's typical with Firefly Mobile and other local brands like SKK. They typically, reuse some of the design aspects of other brands that have, popularized the design. Anyway, as typical with Firefly Mobile, they come up with this really high production value 3D teaser with the phone. You can see the chamfered edges, you can see some of the curved sides and stuff like that, the color rendition, and of course the Huawei P9 inspired back here. Firefly Mobile Intense 5, the new level of intensity. And then it says, Firefly My Balls.
Firefly My Balls.
Firefly. Once you heard it, it'll never leave you. You'll always think of it as Firefly My Balls. Anyway, Firefly Intense 5 is an affordable phone for 3,000 pesos. Let's read some of this stuff. Obviously, all of this crap is still a lot of BS and marketing spiel, but thankfully, it's a little bit shorter now compared to the other marketing spiel, which is like 10 times as much. But they did, there's some mistakes written here. As you can see, it says 5-inch HD touch display. Wrong. It is actually a 5-inch quarter HD display. A quarter HD display, that means it's 1/4 of full HD. Full HD is 1920 by 1080. By that, divide 1920 by 2, you get 960. And 1080 divided by 2 is 540. 960 by 540 display, that is lower resolution than actual HD, which is 1280 by 720. I'm not going to visualize it for you, but this is lower resolution than HD, unfortunately, but it is an affordable phone, so I guess that's to be expected. Anyway, some of the specs include a little bit, some of these specs are on par with affordable phones for 3,000 pesos, but I'm I'm definitely not gonna be like super excited because we only have 1 gig of RAM and 8 gigs of storage. So we're getting Android 6.0 Marshmallow, 8 megapixel front main camera with LED flash, 5 megapixel front, 5-inch quarter HD display, like I said, less than HD, 5-point touch, 32-bit quad-core processor. Here is the biggest offense or a biggest problem I have. Not really a problem, but you know, I take issue with because like the Firefly Mobile Auri Passion 4G from last week, there is no actual information about the actual processor. Last week we just interpolated or extrapolated what we think the processor was going to be, and we reacted to it. But a 32-bit quad-core processor without actually telling us what a 32-bit quad-core processor is, or at least what brand of quad-core processor is being used, it ranges from really crappy processors to some of the most powerful processors available, and is still powerful today, like the Snapdragon 805 and the Snapdragon 800 series, which is still powerful today and will still run, GTA San Andreas very powerfully. So without knowing what the quad-core processor is here, we're basically out of luck. We don't know how good this phone is, essentially, based on its performance. Now, what I'm willing to bet here, is the processor is gonna be a MediaTek 6582, a reliable processor that's been used by a bunch of phones, including some Android One devices and some other popular phones. However, this is an old processor, a 6582. It's an old processor that I'm not gonna say should be put to pasture, but it's still good to today. But obviously, you would prefer a more modern processor. However, at 3,000 pesos, this might still be for you, or maybe not. Anyway, let's continue with our commentary, our KOKAK reactions. We have 1 gig of RAM, 8 gig of storage with micro SD. We have dual SIM 3G, not 4G, no LTE. We only have 3G. 3 of them original gangsters, 3Gs. So, as typical with 32-bit octa-core processors, 32-bit quad-core processors, we only have either 1 SIM of LTE or 2 SIMs of 3G. That's the limitation. There would be some phones with 1 SIM LTE, or they would trade it for 2 SIMs of 3G. But for the Philippines, obviously we prefer more SIMs, so we have a dual SIM 3G. It's quad band world phone, not that it would matter, because obviously if you have one of these, you probably wouldn't go abroad with one of these, or you would probably not need it for 3G or any special stuff. Like, you'd probably buy an iPhone in wherever you are if you're going abroad, or at least buy something else. This is typically not a phone that you would take unless you're maybe a OFW, but that's a different discussion altogether. Anyway, we have a 2,100 milliamp hour high capacity battery. Like, would you 2,100 milliamps is not high capacity at all. It's pretty average. It's pretty low for it's pretty average for 3,000 peso phones. It's pretty low for any other phone above 3,000 pesos. So okay. You can get the Intense 5 for just 2,999, so that's 3,000 pesos, and get hashtag freebies, including a tempered glass and silicone case. Not bad, pretty decent freebies there. They don't say if it's available now or if it's not available yet, but assuming from where they just their verbiage here, I'm assuming that it's already available and you can find it at stores. They just didn't specify if it's going to be nationally available soon or now or whatever. But I'm guessing if you check out a Firefly mobile store, you might see it within the month. They didn't say. So anyway, oh my god, I clicked the wrong button. So that's the Intense 5. It's gonna play a video again. That's a Firefly Mobile Intense 5. It is not an Auri version of the phone. Here are some pictures. Obviously, this is still a pretty much the same description here. They still say inch HD touch display, despite the fact that it is quarter HD. Now, there is one more thing. I click the button again. There is one more thing that I need to talk about. So there's three things I need to talk about. Like I said, one is the error that they said when they say HD display. It's actually quarter HD. The second is the processor is still a big question mark. No other blog, no other online source has mentioned what exactly the processor is. So I'm willing to bet that it's 6582, but you know, it could be different. The number three thing that hasn't been mentioned and should be mentioned is Firefly Mobile doesn't say anything about the build. There is nothing here that says it's actual aluminum or metal build, which leads me to believe that the Firefly Mobile Intense 5 is actually made of plastic or metallic, whatever, polycarbonate. It's still plastic. Particularly because they would normally spend like 50 days talking about the metal build on a Firefly Mobile phone. However, on this particular phone, they didn't actually mention anything. They just, maybe they won't notice if we forget to tell them about it, right? So, leads me to believe that this is made of plastic. Not particularly a bad thing because this is an affordable phone. However, if you were expecting this to be a metal phone, then I hope I have told you about it before you actually spent 3,000 pesos on it. Let's look at some of these pictures. As you can see, it does look like the Huawei P9, which I have right here. There you go. Of course, it doesn't have a fingerprint scanner like the Huawei P9. It wouldn't have the dual camera like the Huawei P9. It does have a lot of differences. However, you know, from a distance, you could probably make people mistake it for the Huawei P9. They do have some extra sort of antenna cuts that I noticed, especially here. The P9 actually has a cut here, over here. You can't see it because the mouse wasn't being captured, but the antenna cut on the P9 is a little bit higher. But anyway, does it matter? Not really. It does make it a little more, I guess, eyesore than the P9 does, but whatever. It's 3,000 pesos. Come on, get over it. Let's look at these pictures. Some of these cuts, as you can see, some more antenna cuts over here. I need to rush this thing because we're spending too much time. I don't want to make this a 15-minute video. Anyway, here are some pictures. The black one looks pretty decent. However, like I said, this is a plastic phone and it's 3,000 pesos. The 3D renders will always look good, but in person it might not look as good. That's typically what you should expect from phones that are really, you know, priced to sell or priced at an affordable market price. So there is the Firefly Mobile Intense 5. Three things we need to know. It's quarter HD display, despite the fact that marketing says it's HD. Number two, we don't know the processor. And Firefly Mobile, come on, man. This is one of the biggest faults of Firefly Mobile. They just don't want to tell us what processor they're using, and just makes blogging, makes reacting to it a lot harder or more interesting. And number three, I don't think it's made of metal because it didn't say so. Anyway, that's it for me. KOKAK Reacts from Alex from thetechnoclass.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.